Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is course Natural Product Chemistry and the course code is Chem 4251. Here is lecture number 5. The topic is Structure Determination of Alkaloid. I am your instructor, Dr. Naila Khalid. Yes, outline of the present session include only the functional nature of nitrogen in the alkaloid. If in the alkaloid structure, the nitrogen is a very important element. So we will determine that how one of the nitrogen in alkaloid is primary, secondary or tertiary. How will you distinguish these types of nitrogen in the alkaloid? And then summary of the major points and references to the presented material. Learning outcome. At the end of this session, you will be able to distinguish primary, secondary, or tertiary nitrogen on the basis of their chemical test and their chemistry. You will be able to explain the chemistry behind these chemical tests. So, as you know that nitrogen in alkaloid, it may be a cyclic form in the form of ring. It may be a primary or secondary amine in the form of primary or secondary amine. So, in this form, it can be tested by a chemical test with nitrous acid, HNO2, nitrous acid. When it is treated with alkaloid which contain primary or secondary amine, like this primary or secondary amine, it will give you positive test. However, with tertiary amine, it will give you negative test. Here is the chemistry behind the primary amine and its reaction with nitrous acid. Primary amine, if it is present in alkaloid, it will react with nitrous acid, will pass through this mechanism, give you diazonium salt, and after evolution of nitrogen and reaction with water, it gives you alcohol. And after dehydration, there is possibility of alkene formation. In short, you can say that if you have a primary amine in your alkaloid, it will react with nitrous acid to give you alcohol or alkene as the products. So this shows that your alkaloid contains this primary amine. Here is an example of mescaline. This is one of the alkaloid known as mescaline and it has primary amine. It gives positive test with the nitrous acid and will form alcohol and alkene or alkene. However, if your nitrogen is secondary in nature, it will react with nitrous acid to give you N-nitroso amine. N-nitroso amine is a yellow oily liquid. It shows that your nitrogen in the alkaloid is secondary in nature. So N-nitroso amine product, if it is formed, it shows that alkaloid contains secondary amine. This is an example of secondary amine or secondary nitrogen containing alkaloid known as ephedrine. This is the structure of ephedrine. It will give you N-nitrosamine, a yellow oily liquid when it is treated with nitrous acid. If your nitrogen is tertiary in alkaloid, it will give you no reaction. No reaction will take place. Negative test. The example is nicotine. This nitrogen is tertiary in nature. Another example is morphine. It has tertiary nitrogen. It will give you uh, negative test with a nitrous acid. When it is treated with nitrous acid, both are treated with nitrous acid, it will give you no reaction. And there is possibility that this bicyclic or tricyclic product, this may be ring fission take place due to N-acylation. And this will mislead us that whether your nitrogen is tertiary, primary, or secondary. In that case, you will go for clarity. In that case, you will go for another test. That test is oxidation with hydrogen peroxide. 30% hydrogen peroxide is a very good oxidizing agent. It will oxidize this tertiary nitrogen into amine oxide, N oxide. Only tertiary nitrogen gives this positive test. This shows that your nitrogen in the alkaloid is tertiary in nature. Another test, which is very important test, known as basic hydrolysis. you can carry out distillation of an alkaloid with potassium hydroxide. Very good, Pace. And distillation of alkaloid with this potassium hydroxide, it is very helpful in determining the nature of alkyl group, that how many alkyl group are present on N. So here is a table. If mescaline is there, one of the alkaloid which has primary amine, it will it will give you one alkyl group. The product is methylamine. Basic hydrolysis product is methylamine. It shows that mescaline is primary amine. Similarly, ephedrine, it gives you dimethylamine. It shows that it has two alkyl groups. It gives you this one as a product of basic hydrolysis. So it shows that ephedrine is a secondary amine containing alkaloid. Whereas nicotine and morphine will give you trimethylamine as a product. It shows that there are three alkyl groups on nitrogen, and this is tertiary in nature. So in this way, you can distinguish primary, secondary, or tertiary. Very important test, that is Herzeg-Meyer test. This Herzeg-Meyer test is also used to distinguish, um, used to determine N-methyl groups in alkaloid. So it is very important because it is used to determine not only N-methyl but for O-methyl groups. You can also carry out this test, this Herzeg-Meyer test. How this alkaloid, which contains methoxy or N-methyl group, if it is treated with hydroiodic acid, HI, at 126 degrees centigrade, it will give you methyl iodide, which is trapped by silver nitride in the form of silver iodide precipitate. The amount of this silver iodide, mole of this silver iodide, will indicate that how many OH group or NH group are present in the alkaloid. Our N-alkyl groups are also estimated in this way. NMR spectroscopy is a very useful tool. It's a physical method to determine nature of alkyl groups on the nitrogen. Nature of nitrogen, whether it is primary, secondary, or tertiary, it can be NMR spectroscopy can be used as a physical method for determination of functional nature of this nitrogen. Summary of the major points, we have discussed only some of the tests which are used to determine the functional nature of nitrogen only. These are the references to the presented material and for further book reading.